So Glenn, there's like a million different ways that people preach.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've often quoted, I don't know if it was Keller's original quote, but Keller would often say, if you listen to one person, you become a puppet. If you listen to two, you become confused.
Yeah.
If you listen to a million, you find your voice. So because you need different kinds of inputs. So I would just love to hear from you when you think about preparing a sermon, when you think about preparing a series, when you're thinking about, okay, I have these really cool thoughts or this thing in my heart, either from the scriptures or just from God. And now I've got to somehow put this into a 25-minute moment or a 30-minute moment. Well, how do you do that? What is your process even internally or even as you look at the text or how does it work usually?
An encouragement to young preachers, it gets quicker and it gets easier. I mean, just, if you're starting out and you're like, it takes me this amount of hours, so I don't want you to hear my process and go, oh my gosh, like it didn't start out this way. I've been doing this since 2009, whatever that is, 16 years, but I have found the most helpful thing is knowing months ahead of time what series we're going to be in. So, now I'll map out 12 to 18 months, knowing that the back end of that, the back 6 to 9 months, it might change. Those might be placeholders. But at least for the next 6 months, we've kind of locked in more or less what the series is going to be. And the reason that's helpful is because then I can start reading. It's like I want to put nutrients in the soil, or to change the metaphor, put the ingredients in the crock pot, just let it simmer. I don't know exactly what kind of sermon outline this is going to be, but so, we're about to do a series through the book of Acts. I was reading on that months ago, and let's read N.C. Wright's new book on Acts. Let's dip in and out of a few different kinds. And I'm not talking like cover to cover reading necessarily, but just you're dipping in, you're just
in the background.
Yeah, putting stuff in there. Then it gets a little closer. I'm mapping out the series. Now I know through the next 8 weeks, this is what the topics are going to be. 2 weeks before a Sunday, I'll put together an outline that's 70% there. And I would say this to young preachers, the tendency, especially if they went to seminary or Bible college, is to go, well, I got to read every commentary first and then decide what the outline is. That's a method. The method I'm using most often now is a bit of a reverse engineering thing. I'm reading the text, I'm mulling over it, I'm meditating on it, and I'm like, Lord, for our church in this moment. And that's the difference between a Bible study and a sermon. A Bible study is like, I just want to explain this text. A sermon is like, what does God want to say to this community in this moment, right? So oftentimes I'll be like driving around and be like, oh, this is it. These are the, so then I'll fill it in with about 5 or 6 days before that Sunday, the Tuesday prior to that Sunday, we have this amazing team called the Sermon Circle. Our teaching team has to be there. Anyone else is welcome to be there. And we review the previous Sunday's sermon. We give affirmations and even better ifs. We call it EBIs. And then we preview the upcoming sermon. And oftentimes they're helping me. They go, that wording is not clear. Or, boy, it'd be great if there was some vulnerability here. Or maybe like you're too deep in the world of the text or the come up for air. Is there a joke here? So they're helping me visualize the room and our people. And then by Wednesday or Thursday, it's done, and then it's ready to go. There's one more system piece that I found helpful. And that is, I have a loose template. Now, I don't know how, like, sometimes Holy Spirit people are like, template? But maybe it's helpful to know that actually even Paul's letters followed conventions. They followed letter writing conventions. The gospel writers, so conventions can be our friend. They don't have to be our foe in this. And so I have 3 movements. The opening is a way of connecting with the room and naming the tension. Connection tension is what I call movement 1. And connection tension is oftentimes a story. And then the tension is, what's a longing you can't name? What's a question you can't shake? What's a fear you can't face? That's the tension. Then movement 2 is text and participation. So oftentimes there's 2 or 3 points in there. As we're diving in and out of the text, world of the hearer. Then the third movement is gospel and response. So gospel, where's the good news here? And our Reformed friends would be like, say what Jesus has done. We're Holy Spirit people a bit more. So we go, yeah, not just what Christ has done, but what the Holy Spirit is doing and is empowering us to do. So the gospel moment is both look what the Lord has done and this is now what the Spirit is doing. So how shall we respond? So connection, tension, text participation, gospel and response. And that template, it simplifies. I'm never starting with a blank page. Even if I just have on that page these 3 movements, I know what I'm trying to fill. So reverse engineering, that's really helps.
That's really good. That's really, really helpful. Yeah, because when you're starting, you don't know what to do. So you're just doing whatever. You're trying to sound like somebody else. But what I like about your thing too is how participatory it is. Was that a hard move to make? Because you seem like a technician. I think you like being in the lab. You probably like reading by yourself. You like thinking.
Yeah.
I bet you, I don't know how to say this gently, I bet you hear a lot of dumb things from people in that room. I don't know. Like they'll say like, oh, here's a thought. And you're like, that's a dumb thought.
At my previous church in Colorado, there was something like this, and we all said a lot of dumb things. We were in the other church,
you were on the other side, right? Yeah.
But I love that book, Creativity Inc., where Ed Catmull talks about Pixar, and there's a practice that they used to have. I don't know if they still have it, where a filmmaker would come and would play a portion of the movie they're working on. So you don't bring it in at concept level,
right?
You bring it in at a little bit more, I have something to show you. I couldn't do this at concept level. I couldn't be like, guys, what do you think Acts 9's about? I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I've got my outline 78% there.
Right.
This is the right time.
Yeah.
And honestly, I can't tell you how many times it's saved me from every preacher has their own kind of pitfall. Mine would be to do a pure Bible study.
Yeah, you just nerd out.
This cross-reference here.
And then is used in these 4 other places. Right. Yeah. Right.
And I had a mentor tell me one time, he goes, hey, you got to do your homework, but don't preach your homework.
Right, that's good.
So I have again, systems. I use Evernote. In my Evernote draft of the sermon, there's like so much there, but by the time I move it to like my Pages document, I'm leaving a lot of stuff.
It's 25% of what it was. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then, but I mean, it also requires a little bit of an internal consistency and strength.
Yeah.
Where you receive, you call them EBIs.
Yeah.
But it's a critique.
Yeah.
It can be interpreted as a critique.
Yeah.
And or I'm using this as a space to train, to teach.
Yes.
Like the fact that you said, oh, I think this story would be better actually makes no sense at all. But that's okay. You're at least now not working that out on some helpless victim later.
Exactly.
I have an opportunity to like coach you out of that way of thinking in this room. So yeah, that's really good.